Hello, welcome to the Daily News Ukraine channel. Today is January 22nd and our daily review of news about Ukraine. Former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited Bucha and Borodyanka towns in Kyiv region. The relevant news report was shown during the nationwide news telethon, Ukrinform reports. In particular, Johnson saw the destruction that Kyiv region settlements suffered during the Russian occupation. Earlier, it was reported that the former UK's PM intends to visit Ukraine. The consolidation of the efforts of all Ukrainians and international partners is the most powerful weapon for the complete restoration of Ukraine's territorial integrity. On this day 105 years ago, the Ukrainian People's Republic declared its independence, and a year later the political and legal unification of the Ukrainian People's Republic and the Western Ukrainian People's Republic into a single Ukrainian state took place, reads the comment of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine on the occasion of the Day of Unity of Ukraine. It is underscored that the integrity of Ukrainian lands and the unity of Ukrainians have been and remain our value orientations, a guarantee of Ukraine's steadfastness and indomitability. These are the values that we defend today, rebuffing the full-scale aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, the ministry emphasizes. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, headed by Minister Dmytro Kuleba, all Ukrainian diplomats, together with the entire Ukrainian people, defend the unity and independence of Ukraine, making the utmost efforts to strengthen Ukraine's defense capability, energy, and economic security. Celebrating the Day of the Unity of Ukraine, we honor the memory of Ukrainian patriots, state builders, all those who gave their lives to protect the unity and independence of Ukraine. We are convinced that the consolidation of the efforts of all Ukrainians and international partners is the most powerful weapon for the complete restoration of the territorial integrity of our state, the diplomats note. The troops of the Russian Federation do not conduct large-scale offensive operations in Zaporizhzhia section. As for the situation in Zaporizhzhia section, the enemy does not conduct active and large-scale operations, Colonel Yevhen Yarin, head of the Joint Press Center of the Defense Forces of the Tavria Direction, said during the nationwide news telethon. At the same time, he noted that the enemy's regular attempts to assault the positions of the Ukrainian military with small groups of up to 10 people are recorded. According to him, the Russian troops had certain successes in some areas, but currently, all positions of the defense forces of Ukraine have been restored. Yarin added that the current situation in the Tavria section still remains difficult. In particular, the enemy keeps shelling civilian and critical infrastructure. In this context, he emphasized that the main target of Russian troops is civilian infrastructure. As reported, the National Defense Ministry of Canada stated that Russia's poorly equipped and inadequately trained forces will very likely not be able to conduct a successful offensive along the Zaporizhzhia frontline in the next few months. New military units are being created in the armed forces of Ukraine to be equipped with new Western equipment. We need a large number of Western tanks. They are much better than the Soviet models and can help us advance. We are creating new military units. And our next actions will depend on their combat readiness. Therefore, Western assistance is extremely important, Commander of the Joint Forces, Lieutenant General Serhiy Naiv told CNN. The Ukrainian military has to train units on the new equipment and integrate it into its existing formations, he noted. The whole unit should be equipped with the same vehicle, so a whole battalion is equipped with Bradley, if we get it, or with Leopards, Naiv said. As reported, at the 8th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group on January 20, the heads of defense agencies of more than 50 countries did not reach an agreement on the supply of Leopard tanks. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said that a corresponding decision could be made in the near future. At the same time, Defense Minister of Ukraine Alexei Reznikov reported agreements with Poland and Britain to start training missions for Ukrainian crews on Leopard and Challenger tanks, respectively. Over the past day, January 21, Russian troops shelled Kherson region 49 times with artillery, MLRS, mortars, and tanks. 3 people were injured. According to the information of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, the Russian invaders shelled the territory of Kherson region 49 times. The invaders attacked the region with artillery, MLRS, mortars, and tanks. As a result of the Russian shelling, 3 people received injuries of varying degrees of severity. Yaroslav Yanushevich, head of the Kherson Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. He informed that the Russian army shelled Kherson city 13 times. The invaders opened fire on the residential neighborhoods of the city. Enemy shells hit a state enterprise, a port, a bread factory, and houses. As reported, 4 people were injured in Russian strikes on Kherson region on January 20. OL. At night and in the morning, Russian troops launched missile attacks on 2 villages in Zaporizhzhia region. Houses were destroyed. Last night, the enemy again hit civilian objects of our region with S-300 missiles. As a result of the explosion in Lezin, houses and the infrastructure of the village were damaged. Oleksandr Starik, head of the Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. The blast wave damaged 10 houses, windows were broken, doors, fences, roofs, and cars were damaged. Water mains, gas pipeline, and power lines in the residential sector were hit. In the morning, the aggressor struck Kamyshivka. Residential buildings and infrastructure were ruined, but people survived. It is noted that 172 strikes on Zaporizhzhia region communities were recorded over the past day. 21 settlements were struck. Photo: Oleksandr Starik, Telegram OL. Members of the 71st Separate Jaeger Brigade of the Air Assault Troops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine eliminated Russian invaders near Bakhmut in Donetsk region. Unmanned aerial vehicles of the 71st Separate Jaeger Brigade of the Air Assault Troops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noticed a concentration of enemy manpower in Bakhmut area. The coordinates were instantly sent to the brigade mortar battery and the Krab self-propelled howitzer crew. The explosions of 155mm shells drove the occupiers into a plantation where they were already waited for by our mortars, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine posted on Telegram, publishing a corresponding video. Later, the plantation was mopped up by assault units of the Paratroopers. As reported, from February 24, 2022, to January 22, 2023, the Armed Forces of Ukraine eliminated about 120,760 Russian invaders, including 600 soldiers over the past day. OL. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky honored the memory of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred. On the anniversary of the tragic death of Euromaidan activists Serhiy Nagoyan and Mikhail Zhiznovsky, flowers from the president were laid at the places of death of the heroes of Ukraine on Hrushevsky Street in Kyiv, the press service of the president's office informs. In addition, a basket of flowers was placed on behalf of the head of state on the alley of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred. The president's office notes that flowers are laid at the monuments and commemorative signs to the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred annually on the Day of the Heroes of the Heavenly Hundred, Independence Day of Ukraine, Day of Dignity and Freedom, the Unity Day pursuant to the decree of the President of Ukraine No. 69 of January 11, 2015 on commemorating the feat of the participants in the Revolution of Dignity and honoring the memory of the heroes of the Heavenly Hundred, OL. As a result of the Russian armed aggression, 10 civilians were injured in Ukraine on January 21. Kirilo Tymoshenko, deputy head of the Ukrainian president's office, wrote this on Telegram, referring to data provided by regional military administrations, Ukrinform reports. In particular, 2 civilians were injured in Donetsk region, 1 civilian was injured in Zaporizhzhia region, 3 civilians were injured in Kharkiv region, 1 injured in Sumy region, and 3 injured in Kherson region. As reported, as a result of the Russian aggression, 5 civilians were killed and 13 more were injured in Ukraine on January 20. The Russian army has already killed 459 children and injured 914 more across Ukraine since the full-scale invasion started. The Prosecutor General's office said this in a statement on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. As of the morning of January 22, 2023, More than 1,373 children were affected in Ukraine as a result of the Russian full-scale armed aggression. According to the official information provided by juvenile prosecutors, 459 children were killed and 914 received injuries of varying severity, the statement reads. It is noted that these figures are not final as the work is underway to verify reports coming from active hostility zones, temporarily captured and liberated territories. The largest numbers of affected children were recorded in Donetsk region, 438, Kharkiv region, 270, Kyiv region, 123, Kherson region, 85, Zaporizhzhia region, 84, Mykolaiv region, 83, Chernihiv region, 68, Luhansk region, 66, and Dnipropetrovsk region, 63. On January 20, a 14-year-old boy was injured by enemy attacks in Kherson. On the same day, a 15-year-old boy was injured in a landmine explosion in the village of Novopetrovka, Kherson region. On January 21, a 7-year-old girl was injured as a result of Russian shelling of the city of Vovchansk, Kharkiv region. On the same day, near the village of Lyubomirivka, Mykolaiv region, a civilian car blew up after it drove over a landmine. The family with a baby sustained injuries. A 17-year-old boy was injured in Russian shelling of the village of Studnok, Sumy region. A total of 3,126 educational facilities were damaged due to bombardments and shelling by the Russian armed forces, of which 337 were completely destroyed. Photo, AAI. Today we were talking about those news. Boris Johnson visits Kyiv region. MFA, consolidation of efforts of Ukrainians and international partners is most powerful weapon. Enemy doesn't conduct large-scale offensive operations in Zaporizhzhia section. Naive, new units created in armed forces of Ukraine to be equipped with new Western equipment. Russians hit Kherson region 49 times in past day, injuring 3 civilians. Enemy hits villages near Zaporizhzhia with S-300 missiles. Paratroopers eliminate Russian invaders near Bakhmut. President honors memory of heroes of Heavenly 100. Russian troops injure 10 civilians in Ukraine over past day. Russians injure 914 children in Ukraine.